All right, everyone, get ready for a wild ride because today we are taking a deep dive into the financial world of Nvidia.
Buckle up.
We've got their Wikipedia page, financial reports, stock charts, all sorts of
The
stuff.
whole 9 yards.
And get this, in June 2024, Nvidia actually briefly overtook Microsoft as the world's most valuable company.
Crazy, right?
Gensanity. What we're going to try to do today is figure out what is driving this incredible rise.
Yeah, how solid is NVIDIA's financial ground, really?
Exactly.
Well, what I think is so interesting about NVIDIA is they've managed to ride the AI wave so effectively. And it's not just about being in the right place at the right time. It's about recognizing the potential of AI and then making strategic decisions to capitalize on it.
So let's get down to it. Like, what kind of numbers are we actually talking about here? Can you give me a sense of their financial standing right now?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with that market cap we mentioned. It's currently sitting at over $3.6 trillion.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, imagine the entire German stock market. Now add France's and then the UK's.
All of those together.
That combined value is still smaller than Nvidia.
That's insane.
It's really unprecedented.
So what's driving this astronomical valuation? I mean, is it all AI or are there other factors that we need to be thinking about?
Well, I think AI is definitely the big engine behind their growth. Their H100 GPUs, specifically designed for AI applications, are in such high demand. Even tech giants like Oracle and Tesla are practically begging for these. It's gotten to the point where these chips are being transported to data centers in armored cars,
Really?
like they're carrying precious jewels.
That's wild. That kind of scarcity reminds me of those rare earth elements, those strategic resources that have geopolitical implications.
Absolutely.
Would you say that's a valid comparison?
Oh, completely.
Like,
The demand for these chips is really a testament to NVIDIA's foresight. They anticipated this AI boom and invested heavily in developing the hardware that powers it. And it's not just building great chips, it's building the right chips years in advance.
so they kind of predicted the future, and now everyone needs what they're selling.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But, that kind of success must attract a lot of attention, right? Earlier, we were talking about antitrust investigations. How serious are those, really?
Yeah, that's a really important point. NVIDIA's dominance in the AI chip market has definitely drawn scrutiny from regulators, particularly the Federal Trade Commission and the Justice Department. They're concerned about their potential to stifle competition and control access to this really crucial technology. These investigations are definitely something to keep an eye on.
Right.
They could lead to some limitations on NVIDIA's business practices,
Oh, wow.
and that could really impact their future growth.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a good reminder that even in the fast-paced world of tech, those regulatory forces can really play a big role.
Right. So it's not all smooth sailing for NVIDIA.
Right.
But while we wait to see how those investigations unfold, let's zoom in on their market dominance for a second.
Okay.
How much of the GPU pie do they actually control?
Oh, their market share is pretty impressive.
Okay.
In the second quarter of 2023, they held a commanding 80.2% share of the discrete desktop GPU market.
Wow, 80%.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, and it's not just about the chips themselves, it's tied to their software ecosystem too,
Oh, okay.
particularly their CUDA platform.
Okay, can you break that down for me? What's so special about CDA?
Yeah, so think of CUDA as the language that most AI applications are built on.
Okay.
It's become like the industry standard.
Right.
And NVIDIA has been cultivating this ecosystem for years now.
So smart.
So imagine trying to switch languages on the entire internet.
Whoa.
That's the kind of hurdle that their competitors face when they try to take away some of NVIDIA's market share.
That is a huge hurdle.
Huge.
So they've really built this incredible fortress around their technology.
They have.
But, even with that advantage, I get the sense that they're not just sitting back and counting their billions.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. We were talking about how they expanded beyond gaming earlier. What are some of the other markets that they're starting to move into?
So they're making significant moves in automotive electronics, mobile devices, and data centers.
Oh, wow.
And a prime example of that is their partnership with Toyota for autonomous vehicle technology.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and they're also developing the Drive PX series, which is a powerful platform for self-driving cars.
So cool.
It is.
And I remember back in 2019, they acquired Mellanox Technologies for almost $7 billion.
Right.
And that really expanded their presence in the high-performance computing market.
Exactly. And these acquisitions, along with their investments in new technologies like their Omniverse platform for engineers and the Isaac Sim software, which is for training robots, it's all part of a strategy to diversify their portfolio.
They're planting seeds in a lot of different gardens.
They are.
But is that enough to still ahead in the long run?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about the competition like Intel, AMD, and all those agile startups.
Right.
How is Nvidia planning to keep its edge? Right.
Well, their continuous innovation is key.
Okay.
They're constantly releasing new, more powerful chips.
Gotcha.
Like their Ampere microarchitecture and the recently announced Blackwell microarchitecture.
Which is named after, that was named after the brilliant mathematician David Blackwell.
It was.
It sounds like they're throwing a lot of brain power at the problem.
A lot.
It can't be easy to maintain this kind of momentum.
Yeah.
Especially with all the regulatory pressure mounting.
Yeah, it's a real balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
They need to keep innovating, diversifying, navigating the regulatory landscape.
Yeah.
All while keeping an eye on the competition.
That's a lot.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered their financial performance, their market dominance, their expansion efforts, their regulatory hurdles they face.
Right.
Let's talk about the bottom line for a second.
Okay.
Their financial strategies.
Right.
How do they manage their money?
Yeah.
Are they known for paying dividends or buying back their own shares? That's a great question, and it's an aspect that often gets overlooked when we talk about tech companies.
Right.
But unfortunately, we don't have specific information about NVIDIA's dividend policy or share buyback programs from our sources for this deep dive.
That's a shame.
It is.
It would have been interesting to see how they approached those aspects of financial management.
I agree.
But I guess while we don't have those specifics,
Yeah.
we can still look at their broader financial decision.
Right.
Like their commitment to research and development.
Sure.
They consistently invest heavily in R&D.
Yes.
Which I think is a strong indicator of their belief in long-term growth.
I think so too.
It's clear that they're not afraid to spend money to make money.
You got it.
But speaking of spending, what about their social responsibility? Are they just focused on profits, or are they thinking about their impact on the world?
That's an important question.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA has been making efforts in what's called the environmental, social, and governance space,
Okay.
often referred to as ESG.
All right, so ESG. But what does that look like in practice? What are some specific examples of their ESG initiatives?
Well, their open source ventilator design during the coronavirus pandemic was a notable example.
Oh, really?
But beyond that, I think their real ESG impact lies in making AI tools accessible to researchers that are tackling critical global challenges.
Okay, for like what kind of challenges?
Like climate change, drug discovery, sustainable agriculture.
Wow.
These are just a few areas where their technology is being used to find solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems.
So they're not just enabling AI, they're enabling positive use cases of AI.
Exactly.
That's great to hear.
Yeah,
It shows that they're thinking about the bigger picture
they are.
and trying to use their technology for good.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from their astronomical valuation to their commitment to ESG.
It's been quite a journey.
It's clear that Nvidia is a company with its sights set on the future. But as with any company, especially one as influential as Nvidia, I'm sure their history isn't without its bumps.
That's right.
And that's actually what we're going to be exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait. NVIDIA has had its share of missteps and controversies, though. It's a good reminder that even these big tech giants aren't immune to scrutiny.
Right, so let's unpack some of these bumps in the road. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's go back to 2018. Their GeForce Partner Program caused quite a stir.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, so it offered benefits to companies that exclusively partnered with NVIDIA, right?
Right,
But that sparked concerns about anti-competitive behavior.
right. But wasn't their argument at the time that it was about quality control? Like
Sure.
making sure that gamers had the best possible experience.
Yeah.
I remember some people actually defended that program at the time.
Yeah, that was their stance, but critics argued that it really pressured companies to favor NVIDIA over the competition.
Right.
And that could potentially limit consumer choice and hinder innovation in the GPU market.
Yeah, I could see that. And gamers were worried about price hikes
Yeah.
and limited product availability too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So how did that whole saga play out?
Well, the backlash was so significant that NVIDIA actually ended up pulling the plug on the program.
Really?
Yeah, just a few months after launching it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a clear lesson in the power of public perception.
It definitely shows they're not invincible.
No.
And speaking of community backlash, There was that whole incident with Hardware Unboxed,
Oh, yeah.
that popular tech review channel on YouTube. Remind me what happened there.
So NVIDIA temporarily banned them from getting those early review units because the reviews focused on rasterization performance rather than ray tracing, which NVIDIA was heavily promoting at the time.
So basically, they weren't towing the company line.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, a lot of people saw it as an attempt to kind of control the narrative and stifle any dissenting opinions. And of course, that created a PR nightmare for NVIDIA. Raised questions about their transparency, their willingness to engage in open dialogue with the tech community.
Yeah. Damage control time, I imagine.
Absolutely. They reversed their decision very quickly, issued a public apology, acknowledged that trying to dictate what tech reviewers focus on was a misstep.
It sounds like they learned the hard way that trying to control the conversation can backfire, especially in the age of social media.
Big time.
So it seems like they've had some stumbles when it comes to marketing and PR. But have there been any controversies related to their products themselves?
Well, there's that GTX 970 memory controversy that people still talk about today.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember that one. Can you refresh my memory?
So they marketed the GTX 970 graphics card as having 4 GB of video memory, which was a big deal at the time.
Right.
But it turned out that because of some technical limitations, only 3.5 GB was easily accessible. The remaining 0.5 GB performed a lot slower.
So there wasn't really the full 4 GB experience they promised.
Exactly. And gamers felt really misled by that marketing.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, it resulted in a class action lawsuit, a settlement that required NVIDIA to offer refunds to customers who had been affected.
It just goes to show that even a company known for its cutting-edge technology can make mistakes,
Oh, absolutely.
especially when it comes to communicating clearly and accurately about its products.
Transparency and honesty are really crucial, especially when you're dealing with such a discerning customer base.
Yeah, they really rely on those specs to make informed decisions.
Exactly.
Well, it seems like NVIDIA's had its share of learning experiences along the way.
They have.
But it's interesting because despite these controversies, they've still managed to maintain this position as a leader in the tech world.
Their resilience is pretty remarkable. They've faced challenges, they've made mistakes, but they've also shown a real capacity to adapt, to learn, and ultimately to come out stronger.
Yeah.
I think their ability to stay ahead of the curve while navigating those complexities of public perception, ethical considerations, it's quite impressive.
I think their story is a really good reminder that even in the fast-paced world of technology where it can get really cutthroat, there's always room for growth and improvement.
Always.
It's a continuous journey. And how a company responds to its missteps really defines its legacy, maybe even more than the missteps themselves.
Well said. And that's what makes NVIDIA's story so interesting. It's the story of innovation, ambition, the constant pursuit of progress, even in the face of setbacks.
Right.
I think it'll be fascinating to see how they continue to shape the technological landscape in the years to come.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of NVIDIA. It's been quite a ride.